Here's what I know is true. Most weight loss plans are one size fits all. So frustrating. They don't take into account each person's individual needs, which could mean dietary restrictions, medical issues, or other personal needs. That's why you're going to love Noom. It's built for your psychology and your biology, meeting you where you are. Noom's personalized programs feel more sustainable than any other, more restrictive weight loss programs. And also, it doesn't shame you when you choose to treat yourself, and that's important. I like this company because it's got a psychology and biology-based approach and a super easy app to use with lots of great features, including daily lessons, coaching, and flexibility. I think it's your time to start. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit Noom.com for more information.
Don't miss Good American Family.
We have a little girl here for adoption.
She has dwarfism.
Starring Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass.
Something is off.
She's just a little girl. You think she's faking?
She has adult teeth. There are signs of puberty.
Inspired by the shocking stories that tore a family apart.
I don't know what's going on.
How old are you?
You should get a lawyer.
You have no idea how those people hurt this girl.
The Hulu original series, Good American Family, premieres March 19th, streaming on Hulu.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. Today's episode is about A Body in the Snow, the trial of Karen Read, which focuses on the Karen Read murder trial and the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. John was born and raised in suburban Braintree, Massachusetts. His family called him Johnny. He had graduated from Northeastern University and earned a master's in criminal justice from the University of Massachusetts. He had been a Boston police officer for 16 years. One of 5 children, he had been raising his niece and nephew in Canton, Massachusetts, after his sister and her husband died just months apart. His niece and nephew, who called him JJ, were just 6 and 3 when he became their guardian. John lost his best friend, fellow Boston officer Pat Rogers, who had also been featured on Boston's Finest, to suicide. Pat's girlfriend was pregnant at the time, and John quickly stepped up to support her as well, acting as godfather to her son. He was the first person in my delivery room after I gave birth, Laura Sullivan said, describing him as a constant presence in her son's life. He had been dating Karen Read, an equity analyst at Fidelity Investments, for 2 years. On the evening of Friday, January 28, 2022, a group of people, including Karen and John, and fellow Boston police officer Brian Albert, his sister-in-law Jennifer McCabe, and others, out drinking at C.F. McCarthy's bar in Canton, Massachusetts. Now, New England that evening was experiencing a major winter storm with heavy snowfall and blizzard-like conditions. At around 11 p.m., the group went across the street to Waterfall Bar and Grill and stayed for about an hour, according to prosecutors. At about 12 a.m., January 29, 2022, members of the group left that bar and they went to Brian Albert's home on Fairview Road. Karen and John left in Karen's black Lexus SUV. Between 12:15 and 12:45 a.m., multiple witnesses recall a dark SUV pulling up to the Albert home around 12:15. Jennifer McCabe said she saw the vehicle pull up around 12:30 a.m. and sit there for about 15 minutes, but that no one came inside and the vehicle left around 12:45. But according to the defense, she had been texting with John, and the last 4 texts were sent between 12:31 and 12:45 a.m., and they went unanswered. At 1:30 a.m., when Jennifer McCabe and other witnesses left the Albert home, they said that the SUV was gone, and no one reported seeing John. At 2:27 a.m., the defense alleged that records showed Jennifer McCabe's phone searched, "How long to die in the cold?" Now, this would have been more than 3 hours before John was found in the snow. Prosecutors have disputed this timeline, saying Jennifer McCabe searched the phrase after he was found. At 4:53 a.m., Karen and John's 14-year-old niece each contacted Jennifer McCabe, saying John did not return home and they were unable to reach him by phone, according to a police report. At 5 a.m., Carrie Roberts picks up Jennifer McCabe and Karen to look for John. 6 a.m., the group find him unresponsive in the snow outside the Albert house. In the ensuing search of the scene, Canton officers recovered a broken drinking glass, consistent with one John had been seen holding, and drops of blood, according to the police report. At 7:59 a.m., John was pronounced dead at Good Samaritan Hospital. At 6 p.m., Massachusetts State Police recovered 3 pieces of plastic consistent with Karen Reed's taillight. On February 1st, 2022, Karen Reed was arrested on charges of manslaughter, motor vehicle homicide, and leaving the scene of a deadly crash. Her attorney called the charges a tremendous reach in court the following day. The case has received national attention, and there was controversy due to ambiguous evidence at the scene and numerous non-standard methods of evidence that had been collected by the Massachusetts State Police and the Canton Police. Multiple witnesses affiliated with the Boston Police Department were there that evening. So Karen Reed's defense team alleged that John was beaten to death inside the Albert home by another guest or guests at that party, and thus witnesses had used their resources as police officers to taint the investigation and to frame Karen Reed. The criminal trial resulted in a mistrial on July 1st, 2024, due to a hung jury. Karen Reed continues to face felony charges of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene of a fatal accident. And her legal team is now gearing up for a retrial scheduled to start on April 1st, 2025 in Norfolk County Superior Court. My guest today is Terry Dunn-Meurer. She's co-creator of Unsolved Mysteries. She has been a guest on this podcast many times. There are many questions continuing to swirl over what happened the night of January 29th, 2022. And in a new multi-parts docuseries, her team, under her direction as executive producer, has worked with Investigation Discovery to take viewers behind the scenes of the Karen Reed 2024 murder trial, with unprecedented access to Karen Reed, her legal team, and other key voices involved in the case. All 5 parts of A Body in the Snow, the trial of Karen Reed, will premiere across 3 nights beginning on Monday, March 17th at 9/8 Central on ID Discovery, and episodes will be available to stream on Max. So again, my episode includes an interview with the executive producer, Terry Dunn-Meurer. Here is my interview.
Let's face it, weight loss can feel overwhelming. That's why Hers is changing the game. By providing access to GLP-1 medications plus expert care, they make your goals more achievable. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by providing access to affordable weight loss treatment plans delivered straight to your door if prescribed. Hers offers a holistic weight loss program with personalized solutions, including compounded GLP-1 weekly injections, featuring the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy or oral medication kits. So after submitting an online intake form, a licensed medical provider will determine what plan is best for you. And if prescribed, your program includes medication, ongoing care, and online support, and all at one cost. So if you've been struggling with your weight loss journey, it's time for you to find the best option that works for you through Hers. Start your initial free online visit today at forhers.com/KateCasey. That's forhers.com/KateCasey for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/KateCasey. Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compatible products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased. I love the look of luxury, but knowing that I got it at a great price. And I feel like you're like me too. And that's why I know you're going to love Quince. Quince is my go-to for luxury essentials at affordable prices. I get DMs all the time. Where did you get that sweater? I'm telling you, I got it at Quince. You know why? They offer high quality items at prices within reach. And the best part, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. So they do this by partnering directly with top factories. So Quince cuts the cost of the middleman and then passes the savings on to us. And the best part, it only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. And who doesn't love that? In fact, the thing you need to get right now are the toasted almond silk pajamas. It's a beautiful gift for someone in your life or just for yourself. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/KateCasey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/KateCasey to get your free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/KateCasey. Terry, first of all, I feel like I hit you on the best day because of the great story that came out yesterday that there was a boy that was found that was the subject of one of the episodes of your show. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. When we heard that his name is Aziz, and he was abducted by his mom and her boyfriend 8 years ago, and we were surprised and thrilled that he was actually found in Colorado. He was abducted from New Orleans, so he's being reunited with his family, and it's a case that we're very happy got solved.
That must feel so thrilling that you have been able to help in so many of these cases.
It does. That's always been the mission of Unsolved Mysteries, is to solve cases and to have one solved. I think we get as excited now as we did about a solve than as we did, back in the day when it got solved. So yeah, we're thrilled, and we're thrilled for Aziz's family too. They've searched and searched. They've spent 8 years.
Amazing. Well, the Xavier case continues to live rent-free in my head. I think about it at least twice a month. So I'm hoping that we get some answers in that one as well.
I don't know. There haven't been many leads on that one lately. That one is a real puzzler.
Yeah.
I go back and forth. That's a good mystery.
Yeah.
Is he still alive out there?
So that brings us to today's subject, because as you know, I've covered this case throughout the duration of the trial. And I thought often during the trial, the person that gets access to Karen Read and her team, that's the story I think most people wanted to get. So talk to me a little bit about how the project was conceptualized and how you ended up getting access, because it really, I feel like, is the story that everyone's been waiting to hear.
Well, it's actually an unusual story. This case came to me. I had heard of Karen Read. I didn't know many of the details of the case. I had just heard the name and that it was an intriguing case. I was finishing up Unsolved Mysteries, actually, and I got a call from Karen and Alan Jackson's attorney who was representing their rights. And they said, hey, you want to take a look at this case? They're looking for someone to follow them during the trial. And I thought, really? That's kind of unprecedented access. You never hear about a defendant and a defense team letting you follow them during a trial. So I said, sure. So I quickly kind of did some research and realized that it was an incredible story, incredible mystery, really. Hopped on a Zoom with Karen and Alan, and 3 weeks later, we were in the hotel embedded with Karen and the defense team, and starting to film. This was in March. This was actually almost a year ago to the day that I got the first phone call. And a month later, we were in Boston filming with them because the pretrial was happening. The trial's April 16th. And we were there about April 6th and had 10 days to get some pre-interviews done. And then it was just hit the ground running.
But that kind of makes sense more to me now. At the end, you see her so emotional when it's like everyone's really packing up the boxes after the mistrial. Not that her case was totally over, but I find that people that are the subject of documentaries, they get so close to the people that are covering them because they're spending so much time. And in some ways, I wondered, without having the benefit of doing so many interviews before the trial or during the trial, that having a team around you, but because of the connection you make with your legal team and the people that are following you.
Yes, Karen was so focused with her team during the entire trial. I mean, she knows every aspect of this case better than sometimes her attorneys did. They would laugh about how that they had a question, they would just ask Karen. She knew everything about the case. But so there was a lot of energy, and it was a very intense situation while they were going through and preparing to cross-examine the witnesses during the trial. But as we got closer to the deliberations, you could see Karen getting more emotional, a little bit more anxious about what the outcome was going to be. They had a lot of confidence in the jury that they had picked. They talk about that a lot in the interviews, as they really liked their jury. But they still weren't sure what this jury was going to do. when she had to say goodbye to everyone after the mistrial was declared, she was emotional because she was saying goodbye. Alan was flying back to California. Everyone was going off to resume their lives. And she was still in limbo. And she had been so intensely involved with her team for 3 months. But even before that, it was just such a loss. Suddenly these people were ripped out of her lives. Suddenly these people were ripped out of her life. They were going back to their lives, and she's still in limbo. So she was just experiencing a loss, saying goodbye to these people, even though she's certainly seen them since, and she will in the second trial.
As you approach this story, it seems like it's a unique story because it's this small town. Everybody is so heated. Everyone seems to have familial or friendship connections. And then you have to map out 5 episodes. Was the intention always to do 5 episodes, or did you find that there was so much content that it was hard to break it down into less than 5?
I think 5 episodes is the minimum that we needed to tell this story. It's a very complicated case. There were 70 witnesses on the stand and 600 pieces of evidence that the jury had to consider. We had 250 hours of footage that we shot, plus 150 hours of courtroom testimony. So there was a lot of footage to go through.
What was the most challenging part of telling the story in those episodes?
I think the most challenging part has been to sift through all the footage and to try and cull down to the most key points in the case. Because there was so much footage, and it's such a complicated case. The goal was to be as unbiased as we possibly could in our presentation, especially knowing that there's another trial coming up. And one of the challenges was to make sure that we could present the prosecution's side. The prosecutor was not allowed to speak to the media, never has, don't know if he ever will. And so we needed to present the other side, because you can't present the defense side without presenting the prosecution side that the defense is defending. So we brought in the reporters, Ted Daniel, Christina Rex, and they helped do the point counterpoint because they were reporting on the case every day. And then we reached out to John O'Keefe's friends who knew him so well, who were in the courtroom often every day, and they helped present their side of the case, the prosecution side of the case.
Were there any participants that you wish you would have had?
We wish we could have had access to the people who were in the house the night that John died at 34 Fairview. But it makes perfect sense that the prosecutors would not want them to speak to the media. They have never spoken to the media because they're going to be witnesses on the stand. So they wanted to be very careful about that. To this day, they haven't spoken. I don't know after the second trial, depending on what happens at the second trial, if they will interview then. But it would have been great to be able to talk to them directly. We have their testimony from being on the stand in the courtroom, but we don't have any one-on-one interviews.
Now, once you started filming, I feel like the people that were following this case were quite clever in uncovering not only just details about the case, but figuring out who would be covering this in some documentary form. Did anybody who was a blogger or someone with a social media account reach out to you as well?
We were very, very low key. No one reached out. No one reached out to us at all. We had a very small crew. We were as stealthy as we could be. We really wanted to just be a fly on the wall everywhere we were. So we were in the war room with the defense team while they were putting their strategy together and rehearsing their cross-examinations. And we were in the car with the team going to court in the morning and returning. We were in their hotel rooms at 7:30 in the morning and filmed with them for 10 minutes getting ready to go to trial or when they came home. So we were everywhere with them, but nobody ever reached out to us and asked us any questions about what we were doing.
Well, it sounds like you did a very good job of the fly on the wall aspect.
Did you know that Fast Growing Trees is the biggest online nursery in the US with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers? They have all the plants your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Whatever plants you're interested in, Fast Growing Trees has you covered. You can find the perfect fit for your climate and space. Fast Growing Trees makes it easy to get your dream yard. You order online and get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days, without ever leaving home. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee ensures your plants arrive happy and healthy. And plus, you get support from trained plant experts on call to help you plan your own landscape, choose the right plants, and learn how to care for them. For example, I knew that I was in the growing zone 10 and I picked out the most perfect lemon tree. It's so cute. It makes me so happy every time I walk outside. This spring, they have the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals. And listeners to this show get 15% off their first purchase when using the code Kate Casey at checkout. That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com using the code Kate Casey at checkout. Fastgrowingtrees.com, code Kate Casey. Now's the perfect time to plant. Use Kate Casey to save today. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. Now, you know I've said that my goal this year is to stay more hydrated. You can gift yourself the everyday indulgence of extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV, powered by Live Hydroscience. They've got true-to-fruit flavors that keep you hydrated. And you can find all your favorite hydration multiplier flavors on their website. I have to say my favorite flavor is the sugar-free raspberry lemonade because it's a bright, zero sugar flavor combining notes of ripe, freshly picked raspberries and citrusy, zesty lemon. And it really gets me going on my day. I think you're going to love it too. I like feeling like I'm hydrated all day long. And if you're somebody who's outdoors or plays sports, this is an absolute must-have. You can break the mold and own your own ritual. Just 1 stick and 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It's 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. And also 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. Treat yourself to extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code Kate Casey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code Kate Casey at liquidiv.com.
What was the response that the people who were really with the team or just, filming or spending time in the community, what was the sense that they got about people's feelings about this case? Because for people that are outside of Massachusetts, certainly outside of Canton, we found the case really perplexing and fascinating, but we didn't have necessarily the personal connection to somebody involved with the case. When you're in that community and you see two sides, across the street battling, what was the feeling that they got, everyone who was working on this project, about how people in that community felt about this case?
I think we were all just surprised at the explosiveness of it, how noisy this case got in social media. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And it's amazing how people would just weigh in, and sometimes not in such a positive, kind way. There's been a lot of damage done to people's reputations. Even some of the people that we interviewed have been, personally attacked by, you could say, the mob. And that's been sad to see. I think that we all probably, if I can speak for the crew, I think we all just hoped that through all of that noise, justice could be served.
And it does seem like there are consistently updates to this case. What does that feel like as the filmmaker? Are you kind of kicking yourself like, I wish we could have been there to cover this part of it? And do you plan to cover more of the aftermath or the next trial?
We're not planning to go back and film the second trial. We were brought in to tell Karen's story. Karen was frustrated because she wanted to tell the world her version of the events of what happened. And that's what she says in the film. She says, "This is my testimony." And so now that we've done that, in the second trial, her testimony would still be the same. There's some different players. There's a new prosecutor, and she has some more defense attorneys, and they might bring in new witnesses and new evidence. But through this series, we've told Karen's story, and that was the goal.
And then the enormous cost of the trial, and how was she able to sustain herself during the first trial, let alone the second? And is she able to work? I kept wondering that as I watched the episodes.
She's not working. She hasn't worked since this happened. I don't know how she's paying for this. I really don't. I mean, we see on social media that they're doing fundraisers. Pay $50 and have a chance to win. Sorry. I know she has a team of people who are raising money by selling chances to have dinner with Karen and her attorneys. And then she does some kind of group press conference kinds of things where she raises money. But I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's quite enough to cover the expenses. I'm not sure if her attorneys are working pro bono or if they're being paid. There's the travel expenses. There's the dinners. There's a lot. The cars that transport them to trial and to trial and back. I really don't know how this is being paid for.
Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's left on the cutting room floor. Is there anything that you wish viewers would be able to see? Anything that wasn't able to be included, but you feel like is an important part of the story?
I wish we could have included more about John O'Keefe, the victim in this story. I think John really gets lost in all controversy. And there were some wonderful statements that his friends had about him and other stories. And I wish we could have brought him to life a little bit more in the film. But there's so much content. There's so many points to cover. It was difficult. We did our best. But this is a story about John and how he died. And from all accounts, he was a great guy, good cop, great dad to his sister's kids. And I hope that he doesn't get lost in the case as it evolves. And also I hope he hasn't gotten lost in our film. We certainly in this series tried to make sure he was a presence.
I certainly kept thinking about his niece and nephew and how much they have suffered in all of this, not just losing their own parents, but then losing him afterwards.
I didn't spend any time with his family. When we came onto the case, they were already working with another production company. So that's why we reached out to John's friends, because they could tell the story about John and their experience with John.
Heartbreaking. And what do you think is going to be the aftermath of this case in the community in which they all lived?
I don't think we're ever going to know what really happened at 34 Fairview that night. And I think that if Karen is acquitted or if she's convicted, I think the battle lines are drawn, and I don't think anyone's opinion is going to be swayed by the outcome of the next trial. I think everyone is entrenched in their position. There's probably a few people that could keep an open mind. It's going to be a challenge in the second trial to find a jury. I think it was a challenge in the first trial to find a jury that hadn't heard about the case and that felt like they could be impartial. And I think it's going to be even more of a challenge in the second trial. So you can only hope that justice is served, whatever that looks like.
What I like about this too is even covering it for so long is that there's so many complications to the story. There's so many people and it's hard to keep them all straight. And what I like over the 5 episodes is the way that you sort of map it all out, and it makes it easy for somebody who has not followed the case to feel like they can jump in and they're armed with information and a better scope of what may have happened and how complicated it is for anybody to kind of figure out really what happened to John.
That was a challenge. And one of the aspects of the case we found most challenging was the data. There's a lot of data. There's the car data from the car. There's John's Apple Watch. There's the GPS data. You could see that even the reporters we interviewed were like confused by the presentations, because each prosecution and defense, they each brought in strong witnesses, and you just go back and forth with these witnesses, with these experts, trying to sort through the data. I have to believe that it was a challenge for the jury as well in that case to sort through what was really being said. Even the dog bite experts,
mm-hmm.
they were good. All of them were really good and very convincing.
What's going to be the one thing that stays with you about this case and this story?
I think it concerns me that this case has been tried in social media. And the noise around this case and the speculation and the vitriol and the nastiness that has occurred in this case is concerning. And I hope that it doesn't mean that justice won't be served. But I'd hate to see this kind of divisiveness happen in other cases in the future. I think it's been really tough. Friendships have been destroyed. Families have been destroyed. People have been intimidated. It's been a rough road for a lot of people involved in this case. And I find that sad. I wish that it was a little cleaner that way, that the case could be tried in a little quieter way.
We must be excited that everyone can finally watch this project. How many people worked on this?
We had a production crew of probably 8 people. When we were, for instance, filming in the war room, we had 3 cameras going at the same time, small little handheld cameras, and they would just move around the room. In the morning, we would go to the different hotel rooms and film with David Unetti or Alan Jackson for 10 minutes in the morning. So one DP would go one direction, one would go another. It was very, very verite. My job, I felt as a director, was not to direct. My job was I conducted the interviews, but I just brought on a team of people who really know how to cover this, and we didn't interrupt. It's an intense situation. We could not interrupt them. We just had to get what we could when they allowed us in, and that's all we could get. But it was a great team. And then in post-production, we had 2 great editors and a co-EP, Paul Yates and Jeff Rice. So a small team. I'd say we have probably 8 to 10 on the production side, and probably a couple of other producers, probably 10 on the post side.
Well, it's really, really well done. It's called A Body in the Snow, The Trial of Karen Read. It premieres March 17th on ID Discovery. Very well done. So glad to see you. Always love your work, and continued success.
Thanks, Kate. Really appreciate your time.
I want to thank my wonderful guest, Terry, and remind you to make sure that you click subscribe and please leave a 5-star review. You can also join the Facebook group, Reality Life with Kate Casey, to talk about this episode and all of the others this week. And also make sure that you check out my What to Watch list of what to watch in unscripted TV at katecasey.substack.com. And also, you can get bonus episodes by going to my Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Kate Casey. And make sure that you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at Kate Casey. Make sure that you check back tomorrow for a bonkers Saturday series episode.
Hey everybody, we have some exciting news that we want to share. If you want to go on an adventure with Generation Y, we'd love for you to join us. January 26th through the 30th, 2026, we'll be sailing from Miami to the Bahamas on Wondery's first ever true crime cruise aboard the Norwegian Joy. Aaron and I will be there to chat, hang out, dive into all things true crime, and we're thrilled to be joined by some familiar voices in the true crime podcasting world. Surti and Hannah from Red Handed, Sashi and Sarah from Scamfluencers, and Carl Miller from Kill List. Super excited to hang out with them too. We got some cool activities, interactive mysteries we can solve, testing our forensic skills with a blood spatter expert, and so much more. So for some sun, fun, and just the right amount of mystery solving, come join us.
Ready to jump on this seriously epic adventure? Book your cabin right now at exhibitccruise.com.